Hello everyone, it's me Varus, and in this video, we'll be doing a whole severe weather overview for the rest of this week, getting into the weekend. It's going to be very active, and some outbreaks are definitely likely with tornadoes, big hail, as well as damaging winds and heavy downpours, lightning, thunder, and much more. So it's going to be a very important video. Going to try to keep it as short as possible, but it's going to get active not just through the end of this week, but even into next week. We're already seeing signals of continued severe weather. So, hope you enjoy. Let's get right into it. So, currently, I have right now the National Weather Service alerts and indices currently pulled up. So, you can already see we have some severe or a tornado watch in place right here for most of Wisconsin and areas into Minnesota. We are going to expect some pretty big supercells to develop through the rest of this afternoon and evening in this general region. Further south towards Arkansas, Tennessee, southern Missouri, we have severe thunderstorm watch. And see these little red polygons? Those are tornado warnings. So tornadoes are likely ongoing over there, or a storm is being able to produce a tornado. And here we have a bunch of high wind warnings. And yeah, wind advisories. And then down here in southern Texas, we actually have some heat advisories going on. But expect this map to continue to look active, as we're gonna have multiple days of severe weather, especially tomorrow. So let's talk about today. What's going on today? So we currently have an enhanced risk stretching all the way up into Minnesota, Wisconsin, down through Illinois, including areas like Chicago, northern Indiana, northwestern Ohio, and portions of southwestern Michigan. So the tornado threat is actually pretty high, 10% hatch risk. So this represents a high tornado risk. Wind as well is pretty high, as well as a hail risk. This screams to me a classic supercellular setup. Now, don't forget about folks over here in Virginia. We also have a tornado, wind, and hail threat that's hatched. So some pretty severe storms are also possible over there in central areas of Virginia. Getting into tomorrow, it's going to be the most active day. We have a very large tornado threat, wind, and hail threat for tomorrow that also spans into the mid-Atlantic. The moderate risk is for areas of southeastern Missouri, southern Illinois, Indiana, western Kentucky, and extreme portions of northern Tennessee and Arkansas, northeastern or Arkansas and northwestern Tennessee. So, wind threat is the main threat with this, as well as some large hail. There has been teasers of an enhanced expansion over towards the Cumberland Plateau, something like that. We could see that take place. Don't completely know how far. Could it get over towards DC and areas? Possibly. But some have mainly just been kind of talking extension somewhere over there. So we'll have to see if that happens and the area gets an upgrade. Going on to day 3, a slight risk for the eastern seaboard and south central U.S. And then going through the days 4 through 8, this would take us to next week. 4th in the mid-south, 5th, 6th, and you can see how it kind of progresses eastward. And day 7 and 8 were just uncertain, but that could also take on a risk. So, let's talk about today, and depending on when you see this video, this may or may not be useful, and depending on where you are. But right now, we're looking at the supercell composite. We have values above almost like 20. You can see a value 20 over here, and that tells me that supercells are going to begin to develop through this area. Now, these will continue to push in this general direction. Could we get formations down here as well? Yes. And that's why Chicago needs to be on the outlook. Okay, just got a little update. So if we continue this through 4, 6, you can see, boom, it starts to develop through Chicago, and then you just have this whole semi-squall line that just pushes through. I mean, Cape is plenty as well. You see 5,000 Cape. Okay, like it is a very strong day for severe weather today. And then if we go to tornado, you have very high risk already starting to develop. We can also go over to the hail parameters, or we'll go to the SARS hail size, and you can see hail exceeding 4 inches, which just tells you how significant this could be. Okay, and then let's just go over to some beta tools. Probability of EF2 or higher, actually pretty prevalent there. You can see that there's definitely a chance. I mean, even EF0 or higher, 37, 41%. So a very active afternoon and evening is about to take place. So let's go over to forecast models after that. So here's that threat. You can see the squall line developing here. Let's just focus in a little more. So this would be 4 p.m. This is 3 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and by 7 p.m. you can see how it really starts to take place and develop. Even Detroit could get some storms that stay severe as well, mainly bringing wind and damaging rain, like damaging winds and rain. And then if we zoom back out, actually no, I want to go back to the eastern U.S. This gets overnight. You can see it starts to weaken out a little. But then we have an interesting formation, okay? This kind of correlates to tomorrow's threat. Some models show just some sporadic storms entering into the northeast, okay? You can see it gets over towards areas like Philadelphia, even NY, New York City, through the late morning through mid-afternoon or noon hours of tomorrow. Okay, and then if we continue through, we have another severe threat. Now, the NAM isn't as enthusiastic uh, as other models, I will say that. Okay, as I zoom out back to the eastern U.S., um, let's take a look at this threat tomorrow. Like, you can see, like, this is tomorrow's threat that has a moderate, and NAM is very, very not as bullish, you could say. Now, if we do go to the 12 km, I think it does show a better picture with these intense storms. So here, let's go towards the HRDPS, this high range Canadian, which has actually been doing really well. So this is the storms today. Okay, this definitely reflects it. You can see how they become extremely intense. And then if we go to the northeast, we have a MCS, a mesoscale convective system that develops. Okay, and this likes to bring it all the way down through areas anywhere from DC up to Philly. I say have the highest chance of getting this MCS. Damaging winds, the #1 threat, as well as rain. Hail isn't as prevalent in these type of storms, but it's definitely possible. And then afterwards, we get supercellular formations or thunderstorms that possibly pop off afterwards, which I also think have a chance. And then after that, we get into the Saturday threat that kind of shows there. But I think HRDPS has a much better handle, definitely much more bullish, for example. So you can see how we can have a bust scenario or a scenario that actually happens. So if we take a look at HRRR, you could kind of say it's in the middle. You have a decaying MCS, so it kind of decays, and then you have some of those cells that pop up afterwards. But even that's not as bullish. And then if we go over to like the Canadian, for example, you can see if we go all the way back, a little more bullish. But I think I like this Canadian model for sure. Yeah, I think I like the Canadian because shows how this MCS shows strong, but then kind of diminishes just because we're gonna have kind of a stable atmosphere in these areas in the morning, and then it kind of pops off a couple cells in the afternoon. So if we go to the south central U.S., because this is where our moderate risk is taking place, you can see I also kind of like it here. You got some cells tomorrow morning, and then the main show in the afternoon where you got lots popping off anywhere from central Arkansas up through central areas of Indiana. So, I hope you enjoyed. Just try to keep it quick and show the main focal points of the next few days in terms of severe weather. And I'll see you guys in the next one.